Yeah. Okay, Facebook, we're back. We're just about to start that little kind of movie clip. Well, so look, give me 2 seconds to sort out the screen. So I'm going to start playing it on Zoom because we're probably a few minutes behind anyway. We are a few minutes behind. Then I have to come back down and fix your PowerPoint here. Oh, good. Someone did that. Thank you. So will you press play on that? Yeah. Yeah. I think I have to mute that video. I'll just turn it right down. And then that's for you.
And right after that, we're going to go back to the slide for a minute.
Yeah. But I have to come down to do that for you. So the sound in that thing is...
Do we have any popcorn?
Yeah.
So this is going to lead up to November 21. This was the fire I was telling you about. And you're going to see how large this fire was. Now, remember, they set another fire here 4 weeks earlier. And both of them were equally as large. So with that information I was telling you about, Grabluski, the firebox, he ended up getting charged. Now, we had a search warrant. We went back to his apartment the next day. Bobby wasn't there. And I call him and Greg by first names because I spent 200 to 400 hours with Grabluski also. So Bobby wasn't there. The landlord let us in, and the firebox was still sitting in the same exact spot on the floor. We get no respect. You know, does he think that we're closing in any way? You know? So Boston police came with us on that warrant. And let me tell you, Billy Murphy's father-in-law, small world, was the head of internal affairs for Boston police. He told Billy, "You're no longer welcome here for going after one of our guys." That type of thing. Yep. I imagine this is 1982. And, you know, here we go. Bobby, Stackpole in the middle, Bemis on the right, Gorman over here on the your far left. You see him looking over to the right. That's all it was. It was that long. But that's what brought us to this crew. You can stop that now, please. You have to come back down here and stop this too. Let's go to the very last slide in this group. Okay, keep it there, please. So we get charged Bobby with receiving stolen property, like big deal, right? So Boston PD has their internal investigation. Bobby takes a polygraph exam in our office with an attorney, and he flunks badly. His attorney just said to me he can't talk. We did not speak with Bobby Grabluski again. That was like the first week of December, 1982. We did not speak to Bobby again until January 1984. 13 months. But in the meantime, you got to play investigator once in a while out here. It seems like we hadn't gotten very far. So I started knocking on doors of a couple other characters. Sandin being, you know, we approached Bobby Grabluski like, "Bobby, look, law enforcement, do you know anything, you know?" "No, I'm just a spark. I like hanging out with these guys, chasing fires." We went to Wayne Sandin, the Boston housing lieutenant. And "Wayne, you got a couple kids? I got a couple kids. We're both, you know, law enforcement. Do you know anything?" "No, but, you know, I'm willing to tell you something, what I do know, you know. Let's keep in touch," type of thing. So throughout 1983, I kept in touch. We even wired him once to go talk to these guys, but the wire didn't work very well that night for some strange reason. And you know, during 1983, the fires definitely slowed down because they knew that we were a little tighter noose. Abandoned stolen cars in Southie, you know, stripped. They burned a stripped car, you know, so big deal, right? It's not a federal crime to do that. And, you know, they burned another car, but it caught on to a commercial building. Well, it's a little more exciting. But we wanted to maybe try to catch him in the act or something. He said Stackpole was going to burn some of his security company cars because they had high miles and not worth anything, sell them to the insurance company. You know, we don't have insurance fraud statute. We have a mail fraud. So if you burn your insured property, you cause mailings to and from the insurance company, and each one of those could be a count. It's a crime, mail fraud. So we're waiting for that, and then we got a new supervisor in December 1982, and the supervisor looked at the case and said, "Wayne, you're on the right track. You got to focus. No more running around, chasing fires. You got to do something." Oh, I forgot. I skipped right over the second big break. The first big break was the video. The second one was Wayne Sandin telling me that they stole a brand new unmarked cruiser from Natick Ford, you know, some 20 miles west of Boston, and stole it for parts to upgrade their own personal cruisers. And then they dumped it in the 4-Point Channel, which is that body of water that divides South Boston from downtown Boston. It's part of the ocean. They dumped it. They didn't even recycle it. They dumped it, you know. So Wayne told me about that in August 1983. We used the Boston dive teams and we recovered it. So now we have that vehicle, but still we didn't do anything with it, for sure, you know. The stolen parts, by the way, don't have any serial numbers on them. So you can't, like, if you do a search warrant on Bobby's car, you can match the same parts, but you can't say positively by serial number. Okay. So my supervisor said, focus. So January 12th, 1984, we got Grabluski in a very dramatic scene. And I'm not going to tell you the whole scene. It's good to read. It's even going to be better on film someday. But we have 6 guys in the room. We got Boston Deputy Superintendent of the police. We have 2 detectives, 2 ATF, and Bobby. He now working, all that time he's been working, he had his gun taken away, and he's working in what we call a turret, which is a dispatch section. It's on the top floor of Boston Fire Headquarters. And he got called into this room, and I can see the room today, you know, the old police detective squad room, you know, the metal desks, the metal drawers, that mustard yellow wall type of thing, the crappy lighting, you know, I can visualize the whole thing. And Special Agent James Karolides, I'll let you, he was a card-carrying thespian. He did plays in Boston area, and he could have won an Academy Award for what he did that night. The way he handled Grabluski in the interview that led to a confession. So I didn't give everything away. It's still more dramatic than that. But Bobby confessed that night, and we took him right out of Boston PD, not knowing what Boston PD guys are like. Not the superintendent was a very good friend and very honest. The 2 detectives wanted to get him by the balls, so they were on our side. But the rest of Boston PD would be against. So we took him over to ATF, and I had the luxury of placing him under arrest at about 3:20 something in the morning. And it's now Friday the 13th. And very unlucky for Bobby, and lucky for the rest of the area. So, but Bobby had a lawyer the next day to go to federal court, and the lawyer said he can't talk. So we went 5 more months until May, when they tried to get he confessed to us on tape. Didn't video back then, but we used a tape recording. Very just casual, like you and I over dinner tonight, you know? just like that. He wanted to get it off his chest. We read his rights on tape, and he just told us about about 29 fires that night or something that he remembered off the top of his head. And we got it on tape, and we kept him overnight in a hotel under guard, and then brought him to federal court, and he couldn't talk. So they tried to suppress his confession. Of course, that's natural, that's customary. And when they lost the suppression hearing, his attorney, now there's a lot of famous people involved in this case. In the middle of the night on January 13th, a U.S. attorney, one of the U.S. attorneys came out. It's a name you might know. Robert Mueller. He was the second AUSA in Boston at the time. So he came out. And then his new attorney after his suppression hearing was Ricky Kleeman. Anybody recognize Ricky? She does a lot of like TV shows now. She's a consultant, like an expert attorney. And she was married to Billy Bratton. Anybody know the name Billy Bratton? He was Boston PD, New York, LA. Yeah, commissioner, and he's a police commissioner all over the place. So some famous people involved in a sense. Not me though. So we wired Bobby 17 times, and at least one of those, two of those are a little dramatic too. And by the way, if anybody, if I come out to me at the table, if you want to give me your email or something, I have a transcript. We did it 17 times. Some of them were phone calls, some of them were live face-to-face meetings. And I have the transcripts from at least 11 of those undercover recordings, and altogether about 180 pages. And I can break it up into a couple emails and get it to you. So if you give me your email, I will do that. It's sort of like a bonus. Okay. After we wired him up, after he talked to these guys, this guy over here, he shot his mouth off more than anybody else. Wayne Sandin had a girlfriend on the side beside his wife and 2 children. And when he knew that she was going to testify, he pled guilty. So they all pled guilty except for Stackpole, the meanest son of a gun, and Ray Norton, the second nastiest person in the group, the Boston firefighter. You can understand why Ray would, he'd lose his pension and everything else. And Stackpole was just so mean, that's why he did. So Stackpole and Norton were convicted. Everybody else pled guilty. The only one that didn't go to prison was Lenny Kendall, Greg's boyhood friend. He was only present for the first 2 fires and did not set a fire. The next day he went to Air Force boot camp, and that's why he was no longer involved in the conspiracy. And in the Air Force, he became a firefighter. And we brought him back from England, where he was stationed, and Georgia he went to, and then to Boston. He's no longer in the Air Force, and he had probation, but he got kicked out of the Air Force. My friend Greg Bemis signed an agreement for 30 years, and he ended up cooperating fully, testifying in 2 trials. And he only, federal law back then, you were eligible for parole after 10 years. And because of his cooperation and everything, he got out after just over 10. Robert Gablewski was the first one to come in, and he's the one who wore the wire 17 times. He got 12 years, and he did just over 10. Wayne Sandin, oh my goodness. Why did Wayne Sandin ever give me those tidbits of information and give me the big thing about the car? Because we were going to, that's what we brought Bobby in under confession, the night he confessed. Now you're going to be charged with that felony, the car theft and the stolen parts and everything else. And you're going to be sent to prison for it. And you're going to no longer be a cop. And that's why he finally gave it up. But Wayne Sandin, he never told a judge his full involvement. He never told me his full involvement. I got it from Bemis, Stack, and Gablewski, and 2 other guys who, minor players in the group, who told me. He set at least 50 fires with this group while he was giving me information. He could have stopped this thing early. He ended up getting 26 years in prison, and he did about 18. So why did he ever give me this information? I know maybe he wanted to see what we were doing to tell these guys or something, but I never understood, and he never told me. He never talked to me about it. Ray Norton, a Boston firefighter, never set a fire, but they used his house to make the device, and he assisted in a lot of ways in the conspiracy, and he got 4 to 6 years. A latecomer was Mark Svenby. He worked for Stackpole and Security. He didn't come in until 83. He got 4 to 6. Joe Gorman ended up confessing, and he was only a bit player. He got about 4 to 6. Stackpole got 40 years. Oh, did I say that already? 40 years. He got out after 20 some odd years, and he is forever housed in the Braintree, Massachusetts cemetery. Died about 2 years after he got out, about 55 years old. The reason I put this slide up here, that Chronicle episode, you see Channel 5 down the bottom there, Chronicle? I asked Greg if he would participate, and he would blacken his face, change his voice, that type of thing. He said, no, it's still too close to home. Greg, never too far from the fire stuff. When I saw him a couple weeks ago, it was at a tri-state fire meet outside, and he was there. And he works for a fire equipment company today. His boss knows who he is, but the clients don't know who he is. So he said, no, I won't participate. But I asked him, well, how about if they send you some emails, questions? Would you answer some of them? He said, oh, sure. So I didn't want to correct any of his answers. I didn't want to even know what his answers were. Now I'm going to read this, even so you've all read it by now, probably. I'm going to read it, and I'm going to stop in certain places. This is 35 years after the last fire, right? I personally felt bad about the injuries, but how many of you guys apologized to someone and put a button there? It's never a good idea, okay? And a lot of firefighters in this crew, let me tell you, but until the East Street Military Barracks fire, most of the injuries were minor in nature. I'd like to pause there. How many of you guys been hurt on the job? How many were minor in nature? Let me put quotations around that. Let's say a ceiling, for people who have never been inside, a ceiling collapses and you get knocked down by it, and you get dragged out maybe by your fellow firefighters. So you weren't hurt very badly, but how close did you come to having a major injury or death? So when someone says most of the injuries were minor in nature, okay? And the members of the group of us foolishly rationalized that the good overrode the bad. In retrospect, that was my greatest regret. Now I want you to judge for yourself how much he regrets this. I want to put another but right here, because there should be one. But I truly believe to this day that the cutbacks would have been much worse and the passage of the Traeger bill. The Traeger bill got passed by Governor King. That gave money back to cities and towns to rehire some of the people. Boston never got back to the same strength they had. Traeger bill would not have happened had it not been for our regrettable actions some 35 years ago. So I'll let you formulate your own opinions about whether Greg Bemis should still be in prison today. Like I said, it's a weird, friendly, professional relationship I have. If I have questions that I can't answer, I go back to Greg. I wrote Burn, Boston, Burn, and a lot of it seems like fiction because there's dialogue between the arsonists. When I interviewed Greg for 200 to 400 hours in 1984, and he went to prison in 84, I know what the conversations were. He talked, I heard him on, it was undercover tapes. I know exactly what he sounded like. I know exactly how each of them sounded like. I interviewed all 9 guys. The 9th one I'll mention in a minute. Then he went to prison and typed single-spaced 163 pages. I have that journal that he typed, and that's the basis for the conversation that happens between the characters. And that's why there's so much detail about the fires, because I use that as a basis for writing it. So it's a very strange relationship, but I really know what they're like. And that's why the book at times could seem like fiction instead of nonfiction. The 9th character, Chris Damon. Chris grew up across the street from Donald Stackpole. And he moved to Ohio. When Grabowski was hemming and hawing a little bit about going to prison, keeping his mouth shut type thing, Grabowski lied to them as well as he lied to us back on this November day, back in 1982. His buddies believed him right up to the minute they got arrested. They believed him. And so they called, Stackpole didn't want him to roll over and give them up. So Stackpole called his friend Chris Damon out in Ohio and said, Chris, could you maybe take Bobby and house him and get him a job out there? And, you know, he could be a fugitive from justice. And Chris hemmed and hawed, and he said yes. Now he's part of the conspiracy. And Grabowski called him a couple of days before he was supposed to go out there. He was never going to go out. But a couple of days before they thought he was going to go out there, and he said, hey, Chris, is everything all set? Oh, yeah, I got you, you know, all set up. It'll be fine. When you're going to come, you know, stuff like that. So the conspiracy, we didn't make the guy do it, you know, but he actually went to prison for his portion of the conspiracy, for a short stay. So could we possibly put on the other one for a few minutes? And I'm going to let you sort of fly through this. Yep. So just keep clicking away. Haven't done that. Yep. Oops. My fingers are going the wrong way over here. Sorry, folks, on Zoom. What I'm writing to you about my gun laws. I worked gun cases my first 4 years on the job. I know exactly where I was the night Elvis Presley died in 1977. I was buying guns in the Hyde Park section of Boston, and that type of thing. So just keep going. 92 M16s were stolen at an armory. Useless guns, and a few M60s. Useless according to the initial news report, because the firing pins were stored elsewhere. We recovered them at a house in Walpole, Massachusetts. Who just said who was the chief in Norfolk? Yeah. And then, so I had a few undercover cases. I almost got buried alive in Upper Maine somewhere. I had no idea where it was. 2 bombing cases. So that's why I put boom and this explosion. The one in Western New York State happened in '93. 50-something-year-old guy dating 30-something-year-old woman. Her family hated him. So at Christmas time, he sent 6 packages to her family members. And 4 of them went off, killing 5 people. You can keep going. I had the scene in Rochester. It shows, you can see, there were 2 dead people, her sister and her sister's boyfriend. Opened the package up. And here, close to me, the stars, this is the location of the bombings, except for the one all the way up there at the Indian reservation, because she was Indian. That's okay, you can go to the next one. The red dot is where they were made. And that's the 2 arsonists. The guy on the left who looks more like an attorney, he got his buddy over there to assist him in a lot of ways that somebody should never assist anybody. I mean, how do you convince somebody else to do this too? It's very strange. Next. 1991, a little package was underneath a guy's car, meant for him, and it came off the car in his driveway, and he tossed it aside and then thought better of it. And for some reason, he called the Boston police, who called for the bomb squad, and two guys went to look at it, and they looked at it once, and then they looked at it a second time, and it went off. Killed one, the second one, Frank Foley. He lost an eye and got severe burns and damages to one arm, one leg. Next. This is the neighborhood, and these pictures are in the book, but I'm here just to tease it a little bit. You see the double ribbon concrete, 39 Eastbourne Street. It happened up in front of that car towards that garage in the backyard. And yep, it happened there. And, you know, we found pieces as far as the schoolyard, all the way over to the right side. And, you know, it's a dead end street right here towards me. And, you know, the Boston Herald this time took a picture of the NRT guys, including me. We're on our hands and knees in a straight line, looking for pieces. And they took the picture. You know, it's an awful case, but sometimes the levity. They took the picture from all our butt ends. Next, please. Jeremiah Hurley. This case, 1991, was still in the newspaper May of this year. The son who wanted to kill his dad to the left. I mean, just a story about him in Bang Boom Burn. The story about him is unbelievable. A Trenkler got convicted for making the bomb. And there is no physical evidence to tie either one of these to the bomb. None. So they've been trying to get him out of jail since 1991. And they tried to get him out for COVID now, and then they tried to get him out. He's been given life sentences, and then it's been taken away and given and taken away. But he's still in prison. But if you'd like to read about that, and if you, I leave it up to the reader to see where the evidence brings them. I put in as much, I read the transcript. Now, if you want to read the 2,400 pages of that transcript, look up Alfred Trenkler. That's the guy on the right. Look up Alfred Trenkler, and you'll see how his defense, there's a whole bunch of people that believe he's innocent. Monday morning quarterbacking is much easier than being out there the first line. But a guy wrote a 571-page book about his innocence. And the entire trial transcript is on a website there when you see one of the websites. So you can click on that and read the transcript for yourself. Okay. This was Amsterdam, New York. And that I have that sales brochure still at home. That original one. He bought the property at 800,000 square feet, bought it for 1.1 million or something, just over $1 a square foot. Next. When it burned, every place in red is what burned. We lost something like 8 or 9 buildings completely, and a couple others damaged. Next. Side by side. So you can see that, I wish I could reach a little more. My hand won't go high enough. Right in the middle, you see a catwalk between 2 buildings? That catwalk is over there, next to building 1 and what's that say, 20? And so everything to the left, to the long building at the end, and across, there's a little creek there, a little river. And right across there, everything burned on the other side too. A lot burned. Amazing device that they tried to use to burn this place. And this was an arson for profit. Next, please. That one is, I get them confused. 91, 93, 97, 90, 92. 92. It looks like a war zone. Keep going. And the national response team came out there. And the local newspaper caught Wayne Miller. And if you want me to read it, it's a member of the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms investigation team takes a break, admits the charred and twisted rubble Monday afternoon during the probe. I wasn't on a break. I was directing the heavy equipment that was near that catwalk. And that's where I was sitting waiting for him to get set up. I wasn't on a break. We're on a break. From the old Seinfeld, not Seinfeld, Friends, yeah. So this is an unusual one. 5 people involved, including the owner. And they got 5 confessions on that case. Unusual, arson for profit. Garden Country serial arson south of Boston. There's the fires that we attributed to him. James Dix, a lone individual. Heard voices, but James, I interviewed him multiple times, never, he said the voices never told him to set fires. But he was a schizophrenic, maybe paranoid schizophrenic. I happen to know one close, but he was definitely a schizophrenic. Next. My good buddy Mike Shervin was with the first K9 in 1986. Now, even in the Dix case, we started using the K9s finally. And that's Sergeant Hulk, K9. My poor friend Mike went through my divorce with me and everything else, spent a lot of time with me. And he went for a bike ride and jog and dropped dead at age 45. Next. There he is, and we're with Chief Marble from Holbrook Fire Department. He helped, instrumental on the case. And the last fire set by Dix before he went to prison the first time was in Holbrook. No, was in Brockton, right next to Holbrook. So, next. This is the last known fire for James Dix. That's his probation officer office. Many years after we got him for the series of fires. And after doing a couple stints in prison, he was out and said to his probation officer, I need to go back to prison. I can't send you back to prison. He said, well, what do I have to do? Set this place on fire? A few hours later, he went and got gasoline and broke that window and poured in gasoline and set it on fire. And stood in the parking lot and said, when the first police officer came, I did this. This beautiful 1880 mansion or something. This is the original sales brochure for this. Dr. Barry Lehman. Now, some people I named by name, and I did in this case. He went to trial. 3 very expensive investment properties. This one here happens to be Dover, Massachusetts, a idyllic pastoral place west of Boston, and Nantucket and Newport. He was investment properties, and he was involved. So this one he burned. Okay. They saved it to a point somebody did bring it back to life. But I won't tell you any more about him. Next. Next. I love that. Go back and go forward. What's that say up there? Reverse. And I had the reverse flipping around. Stings. Go ahead, keep going. Lawrence. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. New Bedford's down on the south coast. Lawrence is up almost New Hampshire. Vermont. I'm not going to tell you a story about, each, but we did reverse things. We hired people to burn buildings. There's very specific ways you have to go about doing this. You can't entrap people. But when somebody comes to a law enforcement officer and says, who's working undercover and says, do you know anybody who needs a building burned? And we take them up on it. I've been on the inside, and that's the Vermont story, when the guy came through the door to burn it. Where's my mic? Working? I don't know. But my heart was beating fast. I've been inside a fir tree waiting for the arsonist to come by. I've been the undercover agent who hired the arsonist. So we did it 9 times in Boston. We were successful 8 times. It's a proactive way instead of just after the fire, going to the fire. But this is for teaching other classes. Next. So that's Timmy Roberts. He's the Vermont arsonist that we got. He set 4 dairy barns on fire when he said to the undercover state trooper who he was selling guns and drugs to. He said, do you know anybody needs a building burned? I've never seen a building I couldn't burn, he said. This is a murder case. Next. Murder case in Vermont. Ruth in the middle there. Keep going. Her 5-month-old died in the first fire that she had. She walked out of the apartment, and less than 5 minutes later, it's on fire. And go ahead. Now a man dies in a West Rutland fire. 2 years later, she walked out of that apartment, and less than 5 minutes later, it burned, and her husband got killed. So the first one's her 5-month-old, and the next one is her husband. And keep going. There's the building itself. Next. That's the gravestone for her husband. I got called like 3 years after the fact for the second fire. Eventually, she got charged with the second fire. It took 6 years before she went to trial. Next. Did I go past that myself? Yeah. That's the picture that's on the cover of Bang Boom Burn, except you can see a lot more detail down below here. Roger Conant Jr. got me this picture. He took this picture. It's an amazing shot. If you guys can recognize that flame as a firefighter with his helmet on. He's right over the area of origin too, and he's right over where the 6 firefighters perished. So I got there as this fire was burning just like that. And I stayed there except for running home to sleep about 20 miles back and forth. I stayed there for the next 10 days. It took 8 days to recover the firefighters. Next, please. I kept this when I left the job. That fire happened December 3rd, 1999. Imagine 3 weeks before Christmas, right? And I do a large loss fire investigation class. And every time I get certain spots in this fire, it tears my heart out. I wanted you to see this fire from my eyes, my thoughts. There's a real good book out there that really gets you deep into the firefighters themselves and their wives and families and other firefighter friends, called 3,000 Degrees. I don't know the author's name. 3,000 Degrees. It's an excellent book. But when I read that as part of research for me writing my short chapter, it just brought me right back, and it just tore my heart out. But I kept this card next to my desk throughout my next 18 years on the private side. and I still have it at home. Another amazing picture, not by Roger. I don't know the author of this picture. And to me, it's sort of like a fire-breathing dragon, isn't it? A serpent. Next. Just these are all in the book, and I just put them in here. This is where they set up. It came from Nyash when they did a study. Next. And you can see they're working down. I mean, look up this fire on the internet and look up pictures on this fire and look at the faces of the firefighters. You can just see the anguish, despair in their faces. And so we're on the second floor deck there where all the equipment is. And you got that big wall that stayed behind us. That was 6 stories. And so that stayed over our heads the whole time when we got back into that fire scene. Investigators did not get into that fire scene to really work the scene until the 6 bodies were recovered. But what we did was use the heavy equipment to take bucket out, and firefighters were down where it says side A. Firefighters from all over. Only Worcester would get on the deck. Only Worcester was allowed on the deck to take care of their own. They sifted and sifted and sifted. They were looking for buttons off the uniform, anything like that. You can imagine an inferno with the collapse that there wasn't much left to the poor firefighters. But the origin is right where that Bobcat is on, where it says Building B. What's that, please? It was caused by a person allegedly knocking a candle over accidentally, but in the book, I give my opinion. I don't believe it was accidental. You can just skip right through the next couple, and that's all on that. Questions, folks, because I'm done. Thank you. Let me go on this side, just to get away from. Oh, yeah. It's just blinding over there. Anybody, anything? I don't want to give all the stories away. I know a lot of you people bought books tonight. It's on Kindle also, both books, the Burn Boston Burns, also audio, and around Thanksgiving, your audio should be done for Bang Boom Burn. I did have a guy who grew up in New England do it. He tried his best to give a little New England accent to the thing. But, some people said I should have done the second one, but I don't have enough confidence to do that. And it takes time. And I don't have a lot of time. So I really appreciate you guys coming out. I know there's a big ball game for those people who like baseball going on right about now. Personally, this year, for some reason, I don't care. The Red Sox really don't deserve too much. I mean, yes, they have the same record as the Yankees, but God, the pitching staff is horrible. So I don't think they're going to go very far anyway. I think the Yankees have a better team overall. So whatever happens tonight after that, if the Yankees could win tonight, good luck. And, I don't mind an American League team, especially beating Tampa again. You know, Tampa has become the city of champions lately. You know, so I don't mind if they should lose.
Boston's ahead.
What's that?
Boston's ahead.
Oh, Boston's ahead.
Until they put a reliever in. The relief staff is horrible.
So are there any questions or comments? And anyone on Facebook with a question or comment? No. You're all quiet.
And thank you to the Irish Heritage
Yeah, thank you.
Museum.
We were delighted. Well, and apologies for the technical snafus. It's, you know.
We make it work no matter what.
Yeah, good. And thank you to the Albany Firefighters Museum. We were delighted to have you guys. And you'll be back, I'm sure. So thanks, everyone. Good night online, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.